Hi, I'm Mark Rutan. Welcome back to Nomad Boat Building. Now in the last video, we started building a replacement blade guide for my bandsaw. We did our first assembly with what's called hard solder. Now that melts at about 1425 degrees. Now we're going to do our next assembly with what's called easy solder. That melts at about 1325 degrees. Now the difference between the two is the amount of zinc that they put into the solder. The higher the ratio of zinc, the lower the melting temperature. Now the big trick is to only heat our part up to the point that the easy solder melts and not the hard solder. Now it's not difficult to do, you just have to pay attention to what's going on. As soon as you see that solder start to melt and flow, you simply take the heat off.
Okay, so now basically that's going to go there. Those guys need to live in there. I've pre-drilled some holes in my top piece for my tapping. Thought it was easier to do now than later. And then this guy's got to go on top of there. Now the big question is how I hold that together while I drill my alignment holes. I need to figure out how to put some clamps on here. I wish I had some little assembly clamps. I don't. I guess I got these guys. These guys won't really do it. Tricky. Maybe I got to do this a little piece at a time. I'm perplexed. Okay, I think I got a plan. I think what we need is a little shim. Just enough so that I know that's going to slide. Okay, well that's a start. I think I need to get another clamp in there just to hold that. Really nice is to have something to act as an alignment block. I know. Ah! Damn it. Let's try it again. Okay, stay there. Go there. Okay, you stay there. You go there. This goes in there just to give it friction. That goes on there. That goes there. Nope. Come on. Don't. Damn it. Did it again. Crap. Round 3. Problem is, with this tiny little... I got an idea. There we go. Shim. Spacer. Shim. End piece. And I should mark these so I know which way is up. That goes on top. And we're still our spacer back in there. Good. That holds that in too. Awesome. Now we're cooking. Okay, so the only inaccuracy I have is that these guys got all this solder on them, so they're not sitting dead flat. So we're just gonna have to hope that my pins, when I put my pins in there, I might have to, I'm just gonna have to wing it, hope for the best. Okay, gonna drill for some holes. So let's see if we can pop one of these guys way out here. One out here. Fingers crossed. Okay, that seemed to work pretty well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully take this apart, carefully clean, make sure everything's clean, and throw some flux on it, and then carefully put it back together. So I've got little pins holding it all together, which is looks like it's going to work. There we go. Those guys are in. Those out. And okay, there we go. And now, last piece here. Guess we flip this over this way. I made those pins awfully long. Come on. Come on. Beautiful. There we go. Nice. Okay. All pins are protruding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little... maybe I'll put a spring clamp on there, because then I'm going to guess that as I put the heat on, as it fluxes, it'll squeeze down. Okay, so here goes nothing. So the big trick here is to make sure I melt the solder joining these two plates, but not the solder that joins the stem onto the whole thing. So fingers crossed. Just had a sudden realization that my pins could suddenly drop out on me. So I'm just gonna give them a little whack. Okay, round two. Let's try this again. Sweet! Beautifully nice. It all came together. Saw my solder flow. I think it flowed through the whole joint. Okay, I'm just gonna walk away. I'm gonna walk away. Okay, just want to take a moment to thank you for watching so far. Now, I love making these videos, but they do take a toll on the workday. So if you can help me out over on Patreon, I really appreciate it. There's a link down there in the hoo-ha. Now, if you can't help me out, I understand. No problem. You can still subscribe though. That costs you nothing. Let's get back to work. So it looks like these guys probably took up the solder. Hard to see though. I'll just file these down lower, then I'm just going to peen them. Nice, I can see how the solder's flowed right through that joint on the inside there. That looks really good. Okay. Now, fingers crossed these will still go. Oh. No. Ah. I was afraid of that. Okay, well, option A, make these holes bigger. Option B, make these guys smaller. I think we'll go with option B. Okay, onward and upward. Let's not worry about that. I gotta drill and tap those guys out bigger. Then do a little cleanup. I think I might just knock those back corners off just like the original, just for fun. Curious deformity going on there from the heat. Looks like that joint might have opened up a little. Anyhow, it'll still work, so that's good enough. We've got one last step, and that's to cut the slot down the middle. So, some light on this, and here she goes. Up here. Oh, son of a bitch. After all that, didn't make my set screws big enough. Son of... I think I'll just get some different set screws maybe. Okay, now I need my little my cool blocks, and I decided I'm gonna make some new ones out of ebony. So I got some little ebony scraps here that I've attached to this piece of wood with some cyanoacrylate. So I'm just going to trim this one side down flush first, and then I can flip it and cut the other side down to size, and then I'll flip it again and cut it down to size this way. And putting it on this larger stick is just to make it all a whole lot safer. Now all I need to do is get rid of the plywood. How So we want to do that safely, I think. So I think we'll just mostly waste it away. Not quite all the way through there. I didn't want to take it down too far, but I can cut that off by hand easily and clean it up. I should have cut it to length first, I just realized, but I didn't do that. Okay, so I just glued it back onto my stick here. I'm just going to use the table saw to trim it down. Try and do this very carefully. Okay, there we go. I'll just break those off and clean up the excess wood. Alright, I got two little ebony guide blocks here. Soak them in oil. I think they're going to work out pretty nice. So let's just slide them in. Okay, that looks pretty good. Just dial this forward. Moment of truth.
Alright, that's it for this project. We didn't produce a piece of jewelry, but we did produce a functional replacement part for my bandsaw that I couldn't purchase. Hopefully it will be long lasting, and if not, we can always make another one. Now don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I will see you next time.